She kept the dress, not washed, not hidden, framed like evidence, a white dress stained with red wine, mounted in a shadow box inside her closet. 17 days earlier, the house had been full of laughter, the kind that feels like a trap.
To family, to healing, and to my dear stepdaughter Olivia, may she finally learn to take a joke.
The birthday cake sat untouched at the center of the long table, 28 candles still burning.
Go on, Olivia. Make a wish. Just be careful not to slip.
And then Patricia's heel caught the table leg. The glass tilted. The wine flew. Red soaked the cake, splashed across Olivia's white dress, and pooled on the tablecloth. The room erupted. Some guests clapped, others covered their mouths, but everyone laughed. Patricia straightened up, smirking, a few drops of wine on her own hand. She had choreographed her accident perfectly. Olivia set the knife down. She didn't cry, didn't scream. She simply stood, turned, and walked out into the night. She walked into her apartment, the wet dress clinging to her legs, and didn't make a sound. That silence was 6 years in the making.
Smile, Olivia. This is my day. Don't ruin it with that sour look.
From that day forward, every family gathering became a stage, and Olivia the punchline.
Look at this picture. See how she never smiles? I told Robert she was trouble.
But Robert had seen the real Patricia. And 3 years ago, a diagnosis changed everything. As Robert's memory faded, Patricia tightened her grip on the household finances. She thought she was untouchable.
Olivia, listen to me. When I'm gone, you won't be left with nothing. I made sure of that.
She never asked for money, only for her father's peace. But Patricia would never allow it.
3 years ago, Robert called a meeting. Olivia didn't know it then, but everything was about to change.
I saw you with that lawyer, Robert. What are you hiding from me?
That night, after the last guest left, Patricia sat in her living room, phone glowing against her smug smile.
Some daughters break over a little red wine. Fragile things. Happy birthday, Olivia.
Meanwhile, Olivia stood in her silent apartment, the stained dress still clinging to her skin. She peeled it off and hung it carefully on a wooden hanger in the bathroom, as if preserving it for later. Then she walked to her bedroom and picked up her phone. The number she dialed had been waiting for this moment. At the other end, Catherine Brandt's office line rang. She answered on the first ring.
It's time. I thought you'd never call. I'll have the first notice in the mail by morning.
Catherine turned to her desk drawer and withdrew a thick envelope, already stamped, already addressed to Patricia Mitchell. By sunrise, the certified mail was in the system, and the clock started ticking. 3 days later, Patricia found the envelope. She tore it open, scanned the header, and tossed it onto the hall table.
Another junk notice. These lawyers will do anything for a billable hour.
But when she called the practice accountant that afternoon, the line just rang and rang.
That man never ignores my calls. Something is off.
At the coffee shop the next day, her debit card failed. The barista's blank stare made Patricia's skin prickle.
Try it again. That machine must be faulty.
She paid in cash, humiliation burning in her throat, but she blamed the bank, not the letter on her hall table. Meanwhile, Olivia's phone lit up with Patricia's texts, "Call me now." She swiped them away without reading.
Not yet. You'll understand soon enough.
For 2 weeks, she ignored every message. And every day, the mailman brought something new to Patricia's door. A week later, her card failed again at the grocery store. This time, the line behind her started muttering. At home, she called the bank, her voice shaking. The customer service rep repeated the words that made her blood freeze.
What do you mean removed? I am Robert Mitchell's wife.
She drove straight to the dental practice, threw open the glass doors, and stormed past the receptionist.
Where is the accountant? I need access to the accounts immediately.
The receptionist said, "Ma'am, the owner has to approve that, and you are no longer listed as an owner." Patricia stumbled back to her car and called the accountant again. Straight to voicemail. Her hands were trembling. She threw the car into drive and raced home, her mind spinning through every possible explanation. She rushed into Robert's study and tore open the filing cabinet. The estate planning folder was empty.
Someone planned this. And I am going to find out who.
She found Robert in his favorite armchair, staring at a blank television screen.
Robert, listen to me. Did you sign something? Did you give everything to Olivia?
Olivia. She visits sometimes. She's a good girl. Did she bring cake?
Patricia released him and stormed back to the study. She tore through drawers until she found an old notepad. In the margins, Robert's shaky handwriting read, "Trust meeting, 3 years ago."
It has to be about money. It has to be, tell me you know something.
Her sister-in-law's voice crackled through the speaker. "I don't get involved in family drama, Patricia. Goodbye." She slumped onto the couch and stared at the framed family photo on the mantel. Olivia's forced smile stared back.
That night she walked out so calm. She knew, this is all her.
But Olivia's phone remained silent on Patricia's caller ID, and no one was answering her questions. A second certified envelope arrived, thicker than the first, and addressed in the same lawyer's script. She tore it open with trembling fingers and pulled out a stack of documents stamped confidential.
The Mitchell Family Trust. Sole trustee, Olivia Mitchell.
The formal language blurred, but the meaning sliced through her chest like a cold scalpel. The paper crinkled in her grip as her knuckles whitened.
Robert signed this 3 years ago, when his mind was still sharp enough to know exactly what he was doing. She owns the dental practices, the bank accounts, even the deed to this house. Everything.
Patricia's scream tore through the silent house, raw and desperate, shattering the stillness. She hurled the papers against the wall, then sank to her knees on the hardwood floor, trembling.
That conniving little snake. She planned this from the day I married Robert.
But even in her fury, she didn't know that the countdown to her final humiliation had already begun. That evening, Patricia dialed Olivia's number 23 times. Each call went directly to voicemail. No ring.
You can't ignore me forever, you ungrateful brat. I'll be at your apartment in 10 minutes.
She drove across town, knuckles white on the wheel, and stormed up to Olivia's door.
Open the door, Olivia. I know you're in there.
Inside, Olivia sat perfectly still on her couch. A cold cup of tea sat in her hands. She didn't flinch at the pounding. After an hour of silence, Patricia stopped. As she drove away, her phone buzzed. The text from Olivia Mitchell read simply, "Check your mail."
Check your mail? She's been torturing me with the certified letters for weeks.
That same afternoon, Olivia sat in Catherine's law office, finalizing the eviction timeline with a calm precision that unnerved even the attorney.
It's set. She'll be served in person. Your father made me promise to see this through.
In Catherine's office, the words "your father" pulled Olivia back to the day everything was set in motion.
The doctors say I might not remember your face in a year, but I remember exactly what Patricia is. She doesn't care about the dentistry. She cares about the money. The staff, the patients, they're just numbers to her.
You have options, Robert. An irrevocable trust would put Olivia in control. Patricia couldn't touch it. He wasn't asking for pity. He was asking me to be the one person who could stand between Patricia and his life's work.
Robert signed the documents with a steady hand, his eyes meeting Olivia's over the notary stamp.
I'm not giving you a burden, sweetheart. I'm giving you a weapon. Use it when you need to.
Later, they sat on a park bench, autumn leaves falling. Robert took her hand and spoke what might be his last clear instruction.
When I'm gone, Patricia will try to take everything. Promise me you won't let her.
I promise, Dad. Not just the money, the people who work for us. They're family too.
For 2 days, she dialed every cousin, every aunt, every friend who had toasted her birthday joke.
You were at the dinner. You saw what happened. I need someone to stand by me. Just listen.
The line clicked dead, then another. The family group chat emptied like a room after a fire alarm.
They're all circling Olivia now. She's the one with the money.
In desperation, she typed a new Facebook post, no longer smug, just raw and pleading. The first comment, "Maybe you should have been nicer to your stepdaughter." Another, "Karma is a red wine stain." She hurled the phone at the couch and screamed until her voice cracked. That night, alone, she poured a glass of wine and stared at the wall of the empty room.
She hasn't even come to gloat. That's the worst part.
But the paperwork in her hallway told a different story, and the final envelope was already sealed. She passed the hall table, the stack of unopened mail still mocking her, and pushed through the study door one last time. Behind the filing cabinet, a drawer she had never noticed was locked. She jammed the opener into the seam and broke the latch. Inside lay the original trust papers, still crisp, the notary's stamp vivid, and a handwritten envelope marked Olivia. She unfolded the personal letter, her hands trembling, and read Robert's final words. "Olivia, my darling, protect what we built. Patricia must never control a single dollar or a single employee. I trust you alone."
He never loved me. He just wanted a caretaker, and then he gave her the power to destroy me. He weaponized his own daughter against me, and she's been waiting to pull the trigger for 3 years.
She sank to the floor of the study, papers scattering around her, a sob tearing from her throat.
I was in their way. All that time, I was just the hired help with a ring.
And in that moment, she understood. The birthday cake was the match, but the fire had been burning for years. By noon, she had thrown herself through the practice doors like a storm through glass, her scream cutting the quiet waiting room.
You're all working for a thief. She stole my house, my accounts, she took everything.
The receptionist pressed the silent alarm, her hand shaking. Around her, staff pulled out phones recording the meltdown. Security took her arms in 3 minutes flat. She shrieked all the way to the sidewalk, cameras rolling. She landed on the cement with nothing but her pride and a crowd of staring strangers. Miles away, Olivia's phone vibrated. She tapped the video file and watched without a flicker of emotion.
Proceed as planned, Catherine. No delays.
She set the phone face down and stared out the window, her jaw set. Not satisfaction, just the weight of a promise kept. Inside the practice, staff locked the doors and exchanged looks that said the era of fear was over. They didn't know the date, but they understood. The real owner was coming. Late that evening, Catherine sent a terse email. 2 weeks are burned. The window closes in 3 days. Confirm the date. She called Catherine back within the hour, her voice steady but carrying the weight of years.
17 days from the dinner. That's the date my father and I agreed on if I ever had to use it. Then it's done. I'll personally serve the papers at 8:14 in the morning. She won't be able to ignore it.
On Olivia's desk, a small calendar lay open to April. The 17th was already circled in red. 14 days were crossed off. 3 remained. She ran her finger over the numbers, a quiet ritual of patience.
3 more days. Patricia has no idea that her clock is already chiming.
She spent the next morning in her apartment, not in celebration but in quiet preparation. No calls, no messages, just the faint hum of a plan in motion. At the dental practice, staff noticed the nameplate on the manager's door had already been changed to hers. They smiled, but said nothing. In Patricia's silent hallway, the grandfather clock kept ticking, but she still didn't know what hour it was counting toward. She scraped together the last of her hidden cash and drove to a strip mall attorney who advertised on bus benches.
Read it? Find me a way out. This was fraudulent. I was alienated from my own home.
The lawyer flipped through the trust, his expression flat. He set it down and spoke like a man reading an obituary. "It's a watertight trust, Mrs. Mitchell. You'd need to prove your husband was incompetent, and the medical records say otherwise.
Then you're useless. Get out of my sight.
She threw a handful of crumpled bills on his desk and slammed the door so hard the glass rattled. Back in her silent house, she sat at the laptop and typed for an hour. The email to Olivia was 1,000 words of raw pleading. Olivia's phone pinged. She read the subject line, "Please just read this," and deleted it without opening the body.
You had 6 years to find those words. Now they're just noise.
She stared at the unanswered screen, and the silence felt like a door slamming again and again. 2 nights before the deadline, she walked through the dark house clutching a kitchen knife, her mind cycling through every item she could destroy.
If I wreck the place, she'll have me arrested. She's already stolen everything. I won't give her that satisfaction.
Instead, she dragged a suitcase from the closet and filled it with jewelry, watches, the silver serving set, the small things that still felt like hers. Then she poured a glass of wine, sat on the edge of the bed, and stared at the wedding ring on the nightstand.
Olivia, please. I know I've been cruel. I know I've made your life hell, but I have nowhere to go. Please, just meet me. We can talk. I'll do anything.
Olivia listened to the voicemail in her quiet apartment, the sound of Patricia's sobbing filling the room.
No apology for pouring wine on me in front of 22 people. Just fear of losing the cushion.
She tapped save and set the phone aside. Not out of mercy, but because evidence was often useful. Back at the house, Patricia drank until the glass was empty, and the ring looked like little more than a ghost of a marriage. She fell asleep in her clothes, the clock in the hallway ticking toward the morning she still didn't know was coming. At 3 a.m, Patricia woke with a start, the grandfather clock chiming the half-hour like a warning.
Something feels final tonight, like the air is already carrying the blow, and I'm the only one who can't feel it coming.
She shuffled through the dark house in bare feet, trailing her fingers along the walls she would soon have no right to touch. Across town, Olivia sat at her desk by lamplight, writing in a leather journal, the ink slow and deliberate.
Dad, I kept my promise. Not for revenge, but because you trusted me with the people who rely on us. Tomorrow it ends.
She folded the letter and tucked it into a drawer, not to send, but to carry forward the weight of a promise kept. Her phone rang at dawn. Catherine's voice was crisp and calm.
I'm leaving the office now. She will be served at 8:14 precisely. I'll call you when it's done.
Olivia set the phone down and watched the sky pale outside her window. 17 days had led to this single morning. Back at the house, the grandfather clock struck 7. 1 hour and 14 minutes remained. At 8 o'clock, the house was still. Patricia sat in the kitchen, a cold cup of coffee between her hands, her bathrobe hanging loose.
17 days of silence. She won't even pick up the phone. What else can she take from me?
She caught her reflection in the hallway mirror, eyes hollow, hair uncombed, and barely recognized herself. Across town, Olivia stood before her closet and pulled out a crisp white blouse, the replacement for the dress she had saved. She dressed with the precision of someone who had waited years, then slipped into her car as the morning light turned gold. At the same minute, Catherine's sedan pulled out of the firm's parking garage, a thick envelope resting on the passenger seat. Olivia pulled into a cafe 3 blocks from Patricia's house. She ordered black coffee and took a seat by the window facing the street. She watched the clock on the cafe wall tick from 8:10 to 8:11, her hands perfectly still around the cup. Miles away, Catherine's smartwatch vibrated, 8:13. She took the final turn onto Patricia's street, the house rising into view. She parked, smoothed her blazer, and lifted the envelope. The walk to the door took exactly 1 minute. Her smartwatch blinked 8:14. Catherine raised her hand and knocked 3 times, each rap firm and unhurried. Inside, Patricia dragged herself from the kitchen chair, her bathrobe hanging open. She pulled the door wide.
Patricia Mitchell? I'm Catherine Brandt. You've been legally notified by mail. This is the final personal service.
Patricia's gaze fell to the envelope. The seal of the state, the notary stamp. She had seen it before.
Not again, please. Not again.
The trust names Olivia Mitchell as sole trustee. You are to vacate the premises within 48 hours.
Patricia's knees buckled. She caught the doorframe, papers cascading to the marble floor like a verdict. Catherine set a business card on the hall table and turned. Her heels clicked down the walkway without a backward glance. 3 blocks away, Olivia saw the sedan pull out, and a quiet smile crossed her lips. Not victory, but peace.
Everything. She took everything. In 48 hours, I'll be nothing.
She scrambled to her feet and stumbled toward the door, her voice cracking as she called into the empty street.
Wait, Catherine, just 1 more week, please.
But the sedan was already a glint at the end of the block, its taillights dimming. She slammed the heavy door and collapsed against it, sobs tearing through her chest. The silence that followed was heavier than any scream.
Even this front door isn't mine anymore.
She wandered the marble hallway, fingertips brushing the walls, the crystal chandelier, the curving staircase, every inch a monument to a life that was never truly hers. In the living room, she stopped before the mantelpiece. The family photo, Robert, Olivia, herself, glared back with frozen smiles.
I was in their way. All that time, I was just the hired help with a ring.
She set the frame face down on the mantel and climbed the stairs, each step hollower than the last. She drove home through the morning light, the deed done, the silence inside her car, not empty, but full. Inside her apartment, she set the keys down and crossed to the closet without a hesitation. She slid the closet door open, and there it hung, the shadow box, catching the first ray of sun. The white dress inside still bore the wine stain, dark as the day it happened, but framed like a trophy now. A small brass plaque at the base read, "The day I took it back."
For you, Dad?
She let her fingers rest on the cool glass, the weight of 3 years lifting from her shoulders. Then she closed the closet, the dress still there, not a wound, but a witness. In the quiet apartment, she stood by the window, the city waking below, and for the first time in 6 years, she breathed without ache. A few days later, Olivia walked into the care facility carrying a small bunch of white roses.
Hi, Dad. The roses are from the garden at the practice. The staff wanted you to have them.
Smells like the old days. You look taller, sweetheart.
I'm the same as always, Dad. But the practices, they're safe now. Everything is the way you wanted.
He didn't fully comprehend the details, but her voice carried the certainty of a promise kept. She wheeled him out to the garden, the morning sun warm on their faces.
It's a good day. A quiet day. Those are the best ones.
Yes, Dad. A very good day.
They sat together in the garden, the quiet hum of bees and the distant scent of fresh soil wrapping around them.
This is what you protected, Dad. This peace. And I will guard it forever.
The main dental practice had been renovated, and on the wall of Olivia's new office hung the shadow box, the stained dress a silent anchor. She stopped in the doorway, letting her gaze rest on the brass plaque. Then she crossed to the mahogany desk, her father's old desk, and sat down. Through the window, the city skyline stretched bright and hopeful. A staff member tapped the doorframe, offering a warm smile and a stack of patient files. Olivia nodded, her hand resting on the desk's worn edge, feeling the history. The dress caught the morning light, its wine stain no longer a mark of humiliation, but of resilience. She looked from the dress to the window, and then back to the work ahead. Her father's work, now hers. The city stretched below, bathed in new light, as if the day itself had turned the page. And in the quiet hum of the office, the stain stayed where it belonged, framed, but no longer bleeding.